Get your back hip into it.
And now it's time for football.
Yes, sir.
Enid Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve.
Good.
Great.
In cooperation with the Enid Public Schools in the City of Enid and the Enid Television Network, welcome to Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid, along with head coach of the Enid Plainsmen, Coach Steve Hayes. The Plainsmen are coming off a tough loss from last Friday night to the Choctaw Yellow Jackets, 37-0, and we'll talk in more detail and get the coaches' impressions on that ball game in just a few moments. However, the Plainsmen are still 3-2 on the year, and they are 1-1 in district play. So there's still much to play for. There's still plenty of season to go. There was a big, I guess you would call it a big second quarter, Coach, where 23 points were scored, and at halftime it's 30-0, and could have been a night of frustrations for you. I'm not sure. You may share that with us, but the end result was a 37-0 ball game with Choctaw. I'm not sure what my question is, because I'm sure you've had just a whole wave of emotions and frustrations and trying to understand this and that, and yet the effort was there. And then, so what is your overall thoughts from last Friday's loss?
You know, honestly, I think our special teams played really well, especially compared to the week before that. I think our defense played really well for 3 quarters, and I think part of the problem for them in the second quarter was our offense had so many 3-and-outs that we started to get fatigued. We were literally putting our defense back on the field 45 to 60 seconds after they'd been on the field already, and I think there was a cumulative effect there. I think the biggest problem we had was that it seemed like 1 or 2 people on just about every snap offensively had some type of execution error, and it was always a different person, whether it would be a lineman or a skill kid, receiver, or whatever. And we can never quite get it going. And to me, there's a couple of things. We need to do a better job during the week of preparing the kids for the game Friday night, and then the kids need to do a better job of doing their job. And everything's you win, it's a team thing, and you lose, it's a team thing. And we definitely found every possible way. It felt like on offense to mess up Monday night, and so you have to learn lessons from that. There's a lot of life lessons put in that, because in life things sometimes don't go the way you planned, and so what are you going to do? And how are you going to respond? Choctaw had come off a pretty bad loss the week before to Putnam City. They lost 38-10, and they came out and they were ready to play Friday night and showed us how to handle that. And now it's our turn to figure out how to handle it ourselves.
When you say that you as the coaching staff have to do a better job and the players do a better job, can you give us an example as we're watching the show and they say, okay, yeah, somebody's got to do a better job? What do you mean specifically on the coaching side of the ball? What do you as a staff have to do better?
Well, like this, for example, this weekend we watched the video as coaches, and then we all sat down at a round table and went by position and said, okay, where did our kids not perform well positionally? What are you going to do to help them improve this week? Because I think that's our job, to teach our kids how to play correctly and do a good job of drilling that into them. And so, we went position by position, and we do that. We do that every week.
Sure.
Whether we win or lose, we do that. But, this week the list was probably a little bit more extensive than in past weeks, because we made so many different mistakes. And really there were errors that we had made previously on things that we had done well previously. And so, if that's a different matter. I think that's a discipline matter. In that if you know how to do something well and then choose not to do it, it isn't a lack of understanding, it's a lack of choice to do it the right way. And so I think you deal with that a little bit differently as well.
Now, last year at Choctaw, the Plainsmen came back for a big win. Do you think any of that plays into the game for the current year, saying, okay, well, we came back last year and we beat these guys, if you will, and is there ever a chance of, say, maybe not overlooking, but just, maybe kind of an acceptance attitude that, well, we beat these guys before, we can go through the motions, we'll play hard and we can still pull this off?
I think that there's potentially.
Does that happen?
Yeah, I think that potentially that is the case. I also think that the team that you beat is motivated to come back.
And I'm not saying that happens here, but it just, overall as a question,
yeah.
I think that perhaps that can happen.
I definitely, and potentially could have come into play last Friday night in our mental state and the way that we played. Now I want to say, though, I want to preface that by saying that defensively, man, we played really well 3 of the 4 quarters taking away the things they like to do the most. And really, outside that second quarter, which I really feel like offense is largely to blame for that. The pick six and putting the defense played so many plays in that first half because we weren't having any. We didn't get our first down until our fifth drive, which was halfway through the second quarter. So our defense had played a lot of football up to that point, and we put them in a bad position in that regard. I think if we had some productivity, even in just getting first downs and having a little bit longer drives, our defense potentially would have been able to play well all four quarters. And so I feel like the offense shares some blame in that as well.
This is a district game, and another district game is coming up this Friday, and we'll talk a little bit about more of the next week's opponent. Coach, it's 30-0 at halftime. What's the discussion within the locker room?
I think it's the same as the week before. You have one play at a time. There's no 30-point plays. There was definitely a lot of things that we weren't doing well, and so we addressed a lot of specific things that were happening. Obviously not well enough. We did play a little bit better offensively in the second half, but not well enough to put points on the board and mount any type of comeback. We were more effective as far as getting first downs. We just, for some reason, couldn't find a way to finish drives.
Can you give us a injury report? How healthy is everyone? Is there anyone that I heard the young man Sears may have been banged up a little bit? Yeah. Can you give us just overall
sure.
Health report?
We lost Seth Ellis a week ago. He had surgery on his wrist, and we're looking at probably about 3 weeks before he's back. Jay hurt his knee. He's got to get evaluated this week and find out the extent of the damage. We definitely won't have him this week. Not really sure how long he'll be out. We got Damian Ryman back last Friday night. It was good to have him back. And Arion Levy and Jaden Americup will be back this week. We didn't have them for the last game as well, and so we're getting those two kids back. Izzy Mendenhall, who had the emergency appendectomy a couple weeks ago, will start working out this week. He's slated to be back probably in 2 weeks, but he's actually getting to start going through practice, and that's not contact yet. And so, pretty typical. We lost one, and we get a couple back, and kind of seems to be our theme this year.
I was going to say, because you said that last week, we a couple players are out, but then you have a couple that are returning. Well, Coach, we're going to try something a little bit different, and this is real close to almost live TV, but we're going to try something a little bit different on the highlights. As you know, in the past, that the coach would kind of give a play-by-play of what you were about to see regarding the highlights, and then we would come back and talk a little bit more. But we're going to use a little bit of our technology here at the Enid Television Network with so we've got Dane, AJ, and Penn behind the scenes. So if those three can pull it off, maybe we can pull it off as well. But we're going to kind of the coach is going to do a play-by-play, if you will, of the highlights.
It's crazy that the guys that deserve the most credit are the guys you don't see.
I know, but knowing them, they don't want the credit. They want to stay. They want to stay hid, I think. So we're going to try this. Bear with us, and we're going to roll the highlights right now.
Here we have an offensive play, one of our positive plays, where Mason throws a good ball to Ryan Stotts on the out. He makes a good run. Just a well-protected play, good executed play, and something that we've done well all year long. And that was a good start on that particular drive.
So let's just run.
Next play here, we have some pressure. It's a pass play. Mason steps up in the pocket, does a great job of scrambling for a first down and extending a drive. That was a big play in the second half that allowed us to get into their territory.
Okay.
This particular play here, we're going to run outside zone, and Draven Adkins, our left tackle, makes a great block at the perimeter, gets Marlowe out. Draven actually going to be on the show here in just a minute. But you see a lot of good blocking at the perimeter, a good run by Marlowe getting through that gap. Big run there at the end.
Marlowe was on the show a couple weeks ago, correct?
Yes, yep.
And been running hard for you?
He has. He's a great football player for us.
Yeah.
Here we have a great defensive play by our right defensive end, Roy Crawford. He comes off the dive when he sees the quarterback pull the ball and tackles him for no gain.
Is that a great example of staying home?
It is, and it's keeping your shoulders
when
square.
People say, well, he stayed home there. Well, that means he stayed in his territory.
He occupied his gap and made a great play on the quarterback there.
Okay.
Here we have a great fill on a run play by Hayden Priest, linebacker number 11, and tackles the back in the backfield. Has some help from the other defensive linemen. A good read recognition and good tackle. And then here we just have a bunch of Plainsmen getting to the ball in a hurry for no gain and quite a collision in the backfield. I love our pursuit there and how many people get their hat on the ball and make a play. Our defense played like that all night. They gave such a great effort. I just feel bad for those kids that we weren't able to score more points and take advantage of the great job that they did, which wasn't reflected in the box score.
And I guess that's all. Oh, we got another one.
Yeah, here we have an offensive play.
I guess I need a number to know where we're at.
Yeah, this is Khalid Lee running outside zone again. Tyler Thompson does a good job of blocking the edge. He shows some good speed. Really is a good little change-up back as far as how fast and quick he is.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes, sir. That's
very good.
There wasn't many. That was all of them.
Had to look high and low, but you found some.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us as we work on kind of sharing the highlights. Coach, tell us a little bit about, you've got a staff in place that at times we've had some video footage from the end zone, so you can see all the spacing between the linemen and stuff like that.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your team in place that does the taping and does all the film work.
Well, we have a varsity staff of 10 men, and we have 4 freshman coaches. And in addition to coaching, they have other responsibilities related to running a football program, kind of the football operations. And Coach Brashears and Coach Cash Conder are responsible for video, and so they get the kids and teach them how to video the plays and the angles and stuff like that, when to start the camera, when to stop it, how wide it should be. And then they upload it to a program that we have called Huddle, which is an online program that stores the video for us and actually allows us to tag the video plays with data and sort it out. Like, for example, this morning with my quarterback, we watched all of Deer Creek's defense against passing plays in formations that we run. Well, the data on there allows us to sort that video clip out and watch it, and so it's really useful. It's amazing what a great tool it is.
Well, we're getting ready to move into the segment where we meet our student athlete of the week. And before we do that, we need to take this time out, Coach, and let's meet other members of the Enid Plainsmen football team. Let's do that right now.
They want me to be up about 50 yards like defensive end, class of 2018.
My name is Brian Pimpleton, number 76. Tackle, senior.
My name is Bryce Pierce, number 16, quarterback, 2018.
My name is Tavion Beebe, number 30, class of 2020, wide receiver.
My name is Kyler Bridenstine, number 74. I'm a junior in high school, and I play offensive line.
5, wide receiver.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Coach Steve Hayes, alongside with our special student athlete for this week, Draven Adkins, serving on the, I guess serving is a good line or a good word to use, on the offensive line. Draven, welcome to the Enid Television Network studios. Appreciate you joining us today. You're a senior, and congratulations on getting to that milestone. And I think the coach will have some questions in regard to senior life and what you're going to do later on. But welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm excited about having Draven here today. He's a fantastic young man, really a kid with tremendous character. He works at a church 20 hours a week and just does a lot of stuff outside of football that kind of shows what kind of person he is. Draven is one of those young men that kind of, I don't want to say surprised, but you don't know necessarily what he's going to become until you see how hard he works, and he's worked so hard these last 3 years to become a football player. Wasn't necessarily projected as being a starter last fall, and this year, despite the fact that he doesn't weigh 280, is one of our dominant linemen. Draven is probably as good as anybody we've had in the last 3 years of finishing blocks and putting people on the ground, and we could bring just a whole highlight reel of how to finish blocks and show Draven doing his job, and so he really is somebody that deserves recognition. I'm proud to have him here this morning. Draven, kind of talking about what I've said as far as the process, you have improved a lot since last year. Talk about what you've done over this last year to improve and how that's affected you.
Well, I did a lot in off season. I did a lot of Coach Smith's workouts. I tried to do my best, and I tried to show for every workout. I did miss a week because of family issues, but besides that, I did show up to every summer pride, and I think that did help me gain 25 pounds in the off season. But for me, it personally helped grew me in this team and just helped me become a family with my teammates because of how close we became in off season.
Yeah, and I think that 25 pounds of muscle has really given you a lot more confidence. I think that's the big difference I see in him. And man, Draven doesn't have any body fat, so it's legit muscle. He looks like a totally different kid this year than he did a year ago. Now,
and right now he's 6'4" and what, Coach?
About 210.
Yeah.
Now, Draven, this moving forward this football season, we're halfway through the regular season. Kind of where do you want to improve personally, and kind of what are you thinking as far as the last half of the season and what you want to accomplish?
Well, our Our theme this year is leave a legacy, and I really just want to make it a playoffs and just leave a legacy for the people for next year, because I think it would be a big impact for people at our school and just help us with our other sports, because I feel like football is a really big sport and it kind of dictates all our other sports at our school. And if we do not do well in football, then I feel like our other sports kind of lack in the same issue.
Sure.
So I just want to leave a legacy, make it a playoffs, and see how we go from there.
We had a serviceman write us a letter last week that I read to the team Friday about the impact of the outcome of the game the week before our comeback had on him. Former Enid Plainsman, graduated in '94, and he's in Ukraine now. And I read it to the team. You heard that. What were your thoughts when you heard that letter?
It honestly kind of struck me in the heart. It was really, it just struck me as like, I don't know the word for it. Just. Yeah. It just put me in awe, really. Yeah. Like, just people from so far are watching us and just trying to keep up on us. Mm-hmm. Like, I would never expected that someone that far away is actually listening to us and trying to keep up on us.
Pretty cool, huh?
It is.
Yeah,
I really like it.
I agree. All right, now, Draven, what else do you like to do besides football? I know you're a pretty involved kid.
Well, I do like helping at the church. After football season, I'm hoping to actually become like one of the youth leaders on Wednesday nights at Emmanuel, is where I work. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to maybe do something more at the church and maybe do something more with Forgotten Ministries. Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. Now, next May, you're a senior, you'll graduate and head off into the wild blue yonder. What are your goals post-high school?
Well, I was personally thinking about maybe becoming a pastor. I really do love God, and I really try to do my best in just serving the Lord. Mm-hmm. I try to do everything I can. I do pray every time I go back to the sideline, because I think every game is in His hands. If we are meant to win, He'll let us win.
Sure. That's pretty cool. Man, and you are very diligent. I've seen you many times sitting in your locker reading your Bible and living it out, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So you know where you want to go to school?
I'm thinking ORU, OCU, somewhere along those lines.
Okay, very, very good, very good.
My question, Draven, for you is, as you were talking about, leaving a legacy, tell us a little bit about the character development emphasis that Coach Hayes and the coaches place on you and the other players. Many times it's just the X's and O's. It's the running, getting in shape, making sure you show up to practice, making sure you go to class. But here you've got an emphasis on character. What does that mean to you personally?
Character? Character, like, I define character as who you are and how well you do things. I think, coaches to us are basically like teachers to us in school. They teach us how to be better players and help us in our everyday lives and help us for the real world. I think they personally get us prepared for life, and just we need to listen to them so they can help teach us and just help define us as a person.
So when there's that emphasis on integrity and discipline and the accountability, that is all part of the character development that helps?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. What will you take away? You sit back in the recliner, the season is over with in a couple months, and you're in the recliner and you may be watching pro football. What will you take away from this year's experience, or just overall football experience at Enid High School?
Just how we basically before season, just our off season in general, just how we got up to this point is how I'll be looking back at it, on how we got to these points in our season. 1-1 in district right now. Hopefully, going to be 4-1 soon, or 2-1.
Well, you're halfway there, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Season's halfway over,
That's right.
so halfway there.
That's right.
Draven Adkins, thank you for being with us on the Coaches Show. Appreciate you taking time out of the school day to come join us. Thank you very much. Number 51, as you will see on the offensive line, Draven Adkins is our student athlete that we're featuring this week. So, Draven, again, thanks for coming by. We need to take this time out, and let's meet as I call. And I really like the supporting cast that you have, Coach. I've gotten to be able to develop a relationship with some of the coaches. So let's meet some of the assistant coaches for Plainsmen Football right now.
I'm Kareem Sears. I coach defensive line and D-ends. I am a special needs teacher at the high school. My favorite book is Slapstick by Kurt Vonnegut, and my most influential person would be my dad, because pretty much everything he's told me when I was younger has happened in my life.
My name is Jeremy Brashears. I'm a defensive line coach at the high school, where I will be teaching Algebra 1. My favorite book is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. And the biggest influence in my life was the FFA organization, where many people, taught me the leadership skills necessary to do the job that I do.
Hey, I'm Coach Dusty Quarles. I coach corners at Enid High School. I teach world history at Enid High School. Favorite book is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Favorite movie, really anything with Clint Eastwood. I guess if I had to pick, I'd say Heartbreak Ridge. The people that have influenced me the most in my life are definitely my parents, Johnny and Wendy Quarles. They taught me all the core values I have today, how to be a man, how to lead, and appreciative to them every single day.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football. Thanks for staying with us. We appreciate you joining us each and every week, and we'll talk here in a few minutes about airing times of Plainsmen Football. But for right now, we're in the Chalk Talk segment. The X's and O's, coach, is what it's all about. Every once in a while, you'll hear a conversation. They'll interview a coach maybe at halftime or before the game, and then even after the game, say, well, we had a good game plan. Mm-hmm. Or the other coach will say, well, they had a great game plan. Mm-hmm. Or we didn't follow or we had to change our game plan. So in layman's terms, what is that game plan?
The game plan is your plan for going out and effectively winning a football game. And there's so much that goes into it. I mean, it starts out a week prior to playing the game. And to some extent, last spring, we were already breaking down our opponents for this year in the video and stuff like that. But, each game you trade 3 videos with your opponent, and you have an opportunity to study those videos for the way that they line up, their philosophy of attacking on offense, defense, and special teams. We evaluate their personnel very, very closely. There's definitely some people this week that will want to target versus Deer Creek, and some other people we want to stay away from just because we feel like we've got a greater advantage by doing that.
Coach, let me interrupt for just a second. In the old days, the coaches would meet on the interstate, and they would change film, as in the film containers, if you will. Yeah. Can you kind of tell us where we're at in 2017 when you say that you exchanged 3 films? How does that take place, or the technology? What goes on?
It's crazy. You just click a button on your computer and you get deposited in your Huddle account and you start watching it immediately. Yeah. I mean, it literally takes 2 seconds.
Boy, does that date me?
Yeah. I mean, it's.
Thanks for saying yeah.
I've been a part of both now, yeah. And it is. The good thing about that is you have access so quickly. The bad thing is you don't have as good relationships with your opposing coaches. I developed a lot of friendships meeting and sharing video and the conversations we had there.
Thank you for answering that, because I was just curious how technology has changed things. And
good and bad, just like everything else. Yeah. We look at how they line up to our formations and try to learn what their rules are. We want to know what their blocking rules are on offense and really what their schematic gap rules are on defense, so that we have some ideas about how we want to take advantage. Because once you know somebody's rules, you know how to attack those rules and take advantage of it. And you want to apply it to your strengths and weaknesses, because you have some players that can do some things and other players that can do other things, and you want to be able to utilize all your talents without putting their kids in a position where they're not going to be successful because you're asking them to block a player they can't block or run a route they can't run.
And Coach Hayes, regarding the game plan, here you're halfway through the season. I guess you already have a flavor or expectation, I guess I should say, of the team that, well, your own team, but also the team that you're about to play.
Sure.
By mid-season, you pretty much know that, okay, they run right 80% of the time, and they throw left 12% of the time.
Yeah, and we actually run reports after we put the data in the computer that give us those tendencies. And we discover things about ourselves, like we do this all the time on first down, and we do this all the time on third down. And so it's good to know those things. And maybe it's good to do it and you don't stop, but maybe you can set up another play by knowing that.
Coach, what can you share with us, and maybe this ties into the game plan, but when you're marching up, I'll just use that word, marching, up and down the sideline, I see you with this big placard, if you will, around your waist, and I'm sure it's not phone numbers to the Pizza Hut or anything like that.
Yeah.
But is that part of your game plan? I mean, I'm sure you have a variety of bits of information on that placard that you carry with you. Yeah. How does that tie into the game plan?
It's interesting, that information on that piece of paper reduces as the week goes on, because as you run things and work on things, like, well, you know what, that's not going to work as well as we thought it would, or we need to do it this way. And so it's the final product of all the work you've done that week going into a football game, in which you have confidence in doing that night against your opponent. And so in essence, yes, it is the game plan. It's the final version of it that we took 7 days to to work on and create and complete. And, part of that is the planning how you're going to teach it to the kids on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so that they can understand it. And I feel like, from a coaching standpoint, our performance last Friday night, if we have anything that we have to address, it's we need to do a better job on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of teaching that stuff so that our kids execute at a higher level on Friday.
Very good.
Yeah.
And that's the discussion regarding what a game plan is all about with Coach Steve Hayes. So that's our segment for Chalk Talk. Coach, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We need to take this time out again to meet more of the members of the Plainsmen football team, and let's do that right now.
My name's Ramon Velasquez. I'm a defensive end, number 60, and I'm in the class of 2019.
My name's Jared Williams. I'm number 24. I play wide receiver and corner. I'll be a senior this year.
Braden Crow, 66, right guard.
My name's Seth Ellis, number 3. I play wide receiver and corner. I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Brady. My number's 69. My position is right tackle. And
Well, we certainly hope that you enjoy meeting some of the Plainsmen football. We try to get everybody on the show, and we'll continue to do that throughout the year. If you have a question that you want to present to Coach Steve Hayes, here's a nice, easy way to do so. You can send an email to asksteve@enid.org. That's ASKSTEVE@enid.org, and we'll get that question or comment to Coach Hayes, and he'll address it here on Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. Okay, let's take a look at the remaining schedule here on the screen, and also the district standings right here on Plainsmen Football. Well, Coach Hayes, we're at the segment now that we need to take a look at next week's opponent. That's the Deer Creek Antlers. They ran into Midwest City, the Bombers, last week. Their score was 63-14. Midwest City, big win there. Deer Creek is 0-2 in district. What do you know about the Antlers?
Deer Creek,
and it's at Deer Creek, excuse me.
Yeah, it is. It's a away game for us this week. Deer Creek is a better football team than what their last 2 games would indicate. They're very well coached. I actually know their coach well. He was an offensive line coach for me for a short time down in Dallas, so we've actually crossed paths. And Coach Stanley does a great job. He's a good man. I know he's taking good care of those kids. They're in the process of the 3rd head coach in 3 years.
Wow.
Which I think, is hard. It's hard their first year, and so they're going through a little bit of that. But I think they're very dangerous. They have a very good quarterback who's already committed for baseball, I believe, to Kansas State. And he can throw the ball well. He actually played against us last year, and we knocked him out for the season in that game. So I'm sure he has some motivation to play well against us this year. Have a receiver that they've gotten out off the basketball court that's very athletic and can do some damage in space. And just overall, they play hard. And we're going to have to get ready. If we don't get ready, we see what happens. We saw that last Friday night. And when we do get ready, we see how good we can be. And we're going to work really hard to be that good team this week.
Well, Deer Creek, a game on the road, and again, Deer Creek's a big school and a lot of players to choose from, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's coming up Friday night as the Plainsmen go on the road. And speaking of on the road, we have an opportunity to look right now in the schedule for the airing times of the Plainsmen football show, and let's show that right now. Coach, just a matter of seconds left, and we always want to spend time talking about character development. Love one another, I think, is the theme recently.
Yep.
Where are we at?
This week we're going to, at the beginning of the season, we do a thing where we talk about why we play football and how we're coached. And halfway through the season, we kind of review that because it's been about 8 weeks since we talked about it, and so we'll focus on that this week.
Okay.
Kind of get refreshed in that way.
Very good. Special thanks to Draven Adkins, our special student athlete, and also Coach Steve Hayes. Coach, thanks for spending time with us. Thank you for joining us on Plainsmen Football 2017 with Steve and Steve. We'll see you Friday night at Deer Creek and also next week here on the Enid Television Network.
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve on ETN.
Flat.